My name's Louisa Jones. I'm from the University of Central Lancashire. And what I'm going to do to kick off the session is to introduce the project which Sue alluded to first, which is examining HE sports curriculum and how LGBT issues are embedded within it. I'm then going to hand over to Ian, who is going to look at aspects of PE and bullying and homophobic bullying in particular, and then look at handing to Eric, who is going to discuss his research in terms of the homophobic or homophobia and incidences of homophobia within sport and perhaps some of the changing dimensions. Okay, so what's it all about? Essentially, today is the launch of the higher education project for History Month. It's envisaged to be a 2-year project in the making. As you may have seen from the programme, the idea behind it is to look at how or if LGBT issues are present, considered, embedded within the higher education sports curriculum. And that curriculum is looking at sports courses, sports management, sports studies, sports science, therapies, coaching, development. So the full range of programmes that many of you are involved in. And also significantly looking at the teacher training aspects, particularly for the physical education curriculum. What we actually then envisage in stage 2 is to gather together the key findings of the audit of what is actually happening out there to produce a best practice guide. Ultimately, the guide is envisaged to be produced 2 years' time for History Month 2012. And I think this is probably where we need your help. At the moment, this is the fledgling stage of it. This is the introduction to the project. The vision at the moment is to examine how higher education institutions, partner colleges, are actually considering all the diversity strands, but in particular LGBT issues. We need to establish a steering group, and this steering group is essentially, I'm hoping, going to be where colleagues from around the country will champion the collection of data. We're not quite sure yet what that data is going to be, and so we're going to establish a steering group. Volunteers welcome. I think the word volunteer is going to crop up quite a bit during these sessions. We're looking to find out good practice, because we know there's good practice out there. We know how good practice is embedded within, not specifically equity modules within higher education programmes, but across the board. And so the LGBT community is considered in all aspects, sports therapy degrees, for example. Somebody emailed me the other day and said, well, we deliver sports therapy courses, so LGBT issues don't bother us. And I thought to myself, I don't know if you have an LGBT client who comes along and needs physiotherapy, whether they'd agree with you. So we're looking at educating, possibly educating the educators through the project. We've got hecklers for a moment. As I say, the data gathering section is the first stage. Good news stories, possibly stories of where people perhaps don't consider there to be a need, or there are pockets of resistance which may well be out there. From that, we've gone on one further. From that, this is the beauty. We have a clicker here that's not necessarily a real clicker. It relies on then a human interaction at the back, so it's a bit haphazard. Probably because I don't really know how to use it. The data that we gather is then to be collated into the production of a best practice guide. And this best practice guide is something that we are looking to help and to launch across universities in the UK to help them to consider how they may look at their own curriculum design and consider LGBT issues in a positive and inclusive way. I think Tony's comment about sport being fair and having fairness and this aspect of fair play is something that, as educators, we have a role to help our students to acknowledge and to consider. Anecdotally, I think Ian's going to talk about issues of homophobic bullying, but quite clearly, one of the key factors that disenfranchise LGBT people from sport participation has often been their experience at school. And they find that for many reasons, they believe that there isn't a place within sport for themselves. Consequently, I think we have a role to help to change the mindsets and to educate tomorrow's educators, to educate people who are going to be going out in sports development roles, sports coaching, looking at management of gyms, leisure facilities, etc., and helping them to actually see that they have not only a legal obligation, but they have a moral obligation to consider the whole community. What's it out there for you? Well, the opportunity to be part of the first opportunity to assess what is actually happening currently and to shape the future of the HE curriculum. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end. We are also slightly tight for time, so I'm going to hand over to Ian to talk a little bit more about aspects of homophobic bullying. But essentially, we're looking for you to sign up today to help us.